Hi YouTubers out there. For all of you Mosin Nagant rifle owners, check out the website on SG Ammo for your rifle. And a lot of YouTubers out there have already stocked up on this 7.62 by 54R surplus ammo. It's excellent. And what you can get are over here 7.62 by 54R ammo in 5-round stripper clips all ready to use for your rifle. And over here we have bulk spam cans in a crate that holds 880 rounds. This can over here holds 300 rounds. Anyway, all you need to have to open these, and we don't want to go into in depth on opening because you've got this on other YouTube videos. But what you need is a case cutter to open the cardboard box. You need a pair of pliers, you need a pair of tin snips, and an old screwdriver. Plus I recommend a respirator of some kind because there's a lot of dirt and dust in these things, and you don't know what kind of contaminants, hazardous materials might be coming off in the dirt. And I recommend some paper towels because these are very dusty and you want to clean them up a little bit before you open them. So let's go over here first on this. The nice thing is that these stripper clips are actually worth about over $1 each just for the clips. And this whole box of 300 costs $60, 62 or so from SG Ammo, and you get 60 clips. So you're just about getting the ammo for cost or no cost, just buying the clips. So having 60 of these clips is very convenient, and you can certainly see those being used on a lot of other YouTube videos, so we won't go through that. Suffice to say, if you look at this ammo, there's no corrosion on them, and if you look at the clips, there's no corrosion on them, and they're just in perfect condition. So I guess it depends on your luck. You might have a can that suffered a little bit of leakage, and if you got that, then you have a problem because you'll have a little corrosion inside. These clips will corrode. It's not stainless steel, so that if you keep them lightly oiled, they won't corrode, but otherwise they will. Now, to open this can, there's a little tab in the corner, and all you need is a pair of pliers to grab that tab and start winding it off. The tab is actually sealed onto the top of the can with solder, so they use some kind of lead solder or something of that nature, and you can just grab this tab and start turning it off, and you break the solder joint. And once you do that, then the rest of this top can be rolled up one side at a time the same way with the pair of pliers. And as you get too much roll, then you'll have to use the tin snips to just cut off that section so that you can get a new roll going. And it's very easy to cut because the steel is very soft. This is steel, but the solder is some kind of lead solder or something of that nature. They just melt it on there, but very easy to break. This actually took me, by the clock, 3 minutes to open this up. It doesn't take that long, and the contents are readily accessible. There's strings, you can pull the little packages out. In fact, the packages will fit into your ammo pouches. But this was made in 1951. Now over here, you open up the cardboard box, and the same tools are used to get you inside the box. The clips are the tin snips are used to cut the steel band that's used to wrap around the crate. This was very dusty, clean it up, and then the screwdriver is used to just pry open this little latch. Now, there are other sliding latches that that you'll see on some of these crates, but this one just had a little clip latch, and if you use an old screwdriver, you pry that clip back, and then you can open this up. Now, once again, I'm not going to take a lot of time to show you the unboxing. The cardboard's all out of there. There's the can opener there in the corner. You can see the can opener kind of peeking out, and if you watch, there's any number of YouTube videos that show the use of the can opener to open these cans up, and then the ammo is in there in paper wrappings. But this was loaded in 1977. Now, what's significant here is that at this time I like to say hi to my grandson Malcolm and my grandson Kai, and to let them know that 1951, when this ammo was made in Russia at a Russian factory, that was the year that your grandpa came to this country as a baby. So 1951 has some importance to your grandpa. And maybe you'll save one of these clips just to remember that your grandpa came to this country in 1951. But 1951 was also a very important year because it was the year that the Korean War was raging. And perhaps more important also was that the Cold War was also in its beginning stages. The Cold War actually started right after World War II, when it was obvious to Russia that they were going to be adversaries to the United States during the post-war era. So Russia had to begin work right away to get a nuclear weapon, because the Americans were the only country, we were the only country that had nuclear weapons. And at some point during the Korean War, when the Red Chinese were fighting against the UN forces and also the South Korean forces, that when it looked like the Chinese hordes were coming down and were going to win that Korean War, there was actually some thought that the United States might have to resort to using nuclear weapons in Korea. And Russia took that as a real warning. They needed to get a nuclear weapon, and they actually started work to use their espionage to gain the secrets of the U.S. bomb, and they eventually made their own bomb. Shortly after in the later 1950s, they began developing the bombs, and they started a bomb race where it was bigger and bigger bombs were being developed, and they went all the way up to the 100 megaton nuclear weapons. And back in the 50s and 60s, there was a lot of concern with fallout shelters because of the threat of nuclear war. Well, that came to a head in 1963 when both sides, the U.S. and the Russians, were right at the brink of war over the Soviets putting short-range missiles in Cuba. And John Kennedy, our president at the time, would not allow that, and both countries went right to the brink of nuclear war, where it was just hanging in the balance. Fortunately, both sides came off the brink and de-escalated, and that was important, because otherwise the history of the world might have been changed. What happened was there was a deal made with Nikita Khrushchev that the U.S. would start pulling weapons out of areas around the Soviet Union in exchange for the Soviets taking the missiles out of Cuba, and that was done. But it looked like to the world like the Russians blinked first and backed off, but the behind-the-scenes dealings had a lot to do with that crisis being averted. Well, then came the Vietnam War, and then we moved to this. Now this was loaded in 1977. Now that's a very important year. That was a Cold War year because the Cold War went all the way till 1989. So we'll open this up and put a screwdriver in here, and that holds the lid open. But here are two 440 round spam cans that the Russians began to pack their ammunition, the produced ammunition, in tremendous quantities. And when this ammo was loaded, it was loaded with malice aforethought, because the Soviet Union was dedicated to the destruction of the decadent West, which basically is the United States. And this ammunition was loaded to help revolution around the world toward communism, because the communist experiment was going full bore around the 1970s through the Vietnam War. And this was after the Vietnam War was concluded that this ammo was loaded. But there were still hostilities between the United States and the Soviet Union at that time. It was a Cold War. But 77 was also a very important year because it was the year that Apple Computer first became a company, and also the year that Star Wars came out, and the year that Elvis Presley died, among other things. But it was a noteworthy year, 1977. And to give you an idea of the nuclear pressures that still existed at that time, there was a time in 1982 or so that the Soviet Union actually believed, because of their intelligence, that the United States was getting ready to launch a nuclear attack on the Soviet Union. And when that happened, the Russians went right to the brink, and they actually had their finger on the firing buttons of their missiles. And had they actually gone ahead and launched, the United States would have picked that up and immediately counterattacked with everything we had. We would have had a nuclear holocaust. Fortunately, at the very end, the Russians decided, no, let's not do this. Let's see what's going to happen. We don't really want to destroy the world. And turned out their intelligence was wrong. We didn't have any intention to attack them, and they found that out, fortunately. But this ammo is Cold War ammo, both at the beginning and toward the end, because it was not long after that Ronald Reagan, because of the policies to compete with the Soviet Union in military spending, actually drove the Soviet Union to defeat economically. They could not maintain the spending that they were doing, and it led to the conclusion that the communist experiment was over, and they had to go to a more democratic type of government, and a more free trade, world trade type of economy. This was actually foreseen by a movie back in 1964, which is entitled Dr. Strangelove, or How I Stopped Worrying and Learned to Love the Bomb. In that movie, it actually spoke of the Russian ambassador was saying that they could not any longer keep competing with the arms race, the space race, the peace race, and all the time the Soviet Union was trying to compete in those areas with the United States. Their citizens were grumbling about needing more washing machines and nylon stockings. So that actually foresaw the occurrences in '89, where the Soviet Union actually ceased to be the communist country that it was. So this ammo has some history. So YouTubers out there, when you order your ammo, I don't think that the Cold War implications have been explored in any of the other videos. A lot of great videos on this ammo. I've seen them all, and I love them. But I wanted to let all you YouTubers out there know that there's actually history involved here that was very pertinent to where we are today. Best wishes to all of you YouTubers out there. Take care, have fun with all of your ammo, and in the back of your mind, there's this history. Bye for now.